Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. Caught me mid-laugh in the middle of that one. I'm Jerry, joined today by Andy, a.k.a. El Pivote, of Everton Twitter fame, but also from various blogs. Andy, thanks a lot for being here again, man. Appreciate it.
No worries.
We are going to be talking about some of Everton's young players now. Some of them we're going to call them U23 players, but not all of them are really U23. Some of them may be over 23. Some, whatever. Some of them maybe have been on loan recently. So we're just going to kind of scroll through some of these names. Just really quick, I wanted to remind people, those of you who tuned in for the Vlasic segment, one of the things that Andy really talked about was our young player loan system in terms of what we're doing with them when they get to a certain age, when they have a certain experience level with U23s, the idea of pushing them out there and saying, hey, let's go get some more experience and start getting carved out of wood, figuring out whether or not they're right for the first team or do we need to move them on. And this is kind of one of the things we're going to be doing with this segment is kind of gauging what Andy's reactions are to some of these players.
Okay.
Right? So, Andy, let's start with a player that I actually thought last summer, I actually thought he had a chance of moving into the first team.
Okay.
Didn't quite make it, though, and then went out on loan. Kieran Dowell.
Okay, yeah. Kieran Dowell went to Sheffield United in January. I like Dowell. He's got his good technical player. He can play 10. He can play on the wing. It's coming to the point now where you need to sort of make a decision. He's 21, 22, I think, and is he going to be good enough for the first team? Is he a Premiership player? I have my doubts, really, because what happens with Dowell is he's probably got the technical ability to play in the Premiership, but games seem to pass him by. He doesn't really seem to get involved. He'll do nothing for 80 minutes, and then the ball could come to him, and he'll hit the ball in the top corner. You need him to be more than that now, and you can't be so mercurial. You need to. So I think I think if he could go to Sheffield United in the Premier League on loan, that'd be great. If someone gives us 10 to 15 million pounds, I'd take that as well. So a decision needs to be made by the club because there's no point in keeping him on forever and keep loaning him out. We probably need to make a decision on him, really, I think.
Yeah, I've always gotten the vibe you've got a player who's capable of these moments of brilliance.
Yes.
But it's a consistency issue, and one would think that those kinks would have been worked out by playing in the Championship, where you're playing more games, more physicality, and that's where you're supposed to gain a lot of that consistency. At least that's where and I guess the fact that you're still getting that same issue of what you discussed.
He went to Nottingham Forest last year, and the first 6 months he was quite good because he was playing consistently and stuff. And then they changed the manager. The new manager was more defensive, and it really didn't work out for him. And then he sort of spent another couple of months milling around at Everton, and then, as I say, he went out on loan in January to Sheffield United. And he's still not getting there in terms of producing consistently, and consistency breeds excellence. You need to be able to do it on a consistent basis, and unfortunately, he's not doing it. And I can see the club either giving him another year on loan somewhere and saying if he comes back, we'll have a look then. But they might say if the right offer comes in, they may sell it. It's one of those where it's come to the time where they need to decide, really.
Yeah. If had you asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said, yeah, he'll definitely be in the first team in a couple of years. So it's just, it seems like it's a tough call because it does seem like he's so close.
Well, yeah, the talent he had when he was like sort of 17, 18, you thought, yeah, he'll make it, but it's unfortunately, a lot of players seem to stall from the ages 17 to 21 at Everton. As I've said before, and in terms of we need to sort of look at that and why players aren't, because I think they come to the first team, they don't play, they sit on the bench, and that development stage is not really being maximised. So hopefully Brands will have a look at that. But yeah, he's one of those players who hasn't really stepped up as he's come into the sort of first team picture.
I continue to think that is a brilliant conversation, by the way. The idea, why? I just think
it's something that needs to be looked at. I think, Brands did it in Holland, but they have the advantage of the fact that the PSV second team is in their second division, so our Championship, essentially. We don't have that luxury, unfortunately. We have to loan the players out. We don't have B teams like they have in Spain, so it's something that will need to be looked at, yeah.
All right, let's move on. Talk about a player who was one of the players who was on loan at Wigan last season, and there's a rumor that there's a bid out for him right now that has been a bid placed by Wigan for him, and he's U.S. national team member Anthony Robinson, Jedi.
Yeah.
I like him, but
Yeah,
because
same,
because
he's a
it's
good
nice to be
player,
able to say,
yeah.
oh, there's an American player, sort of. He's sort of
Yeah.
American player, but U.S. national team player. I like it, and I've always been under the impression that eventually he's going to be brought in as our backup left back.
I would assume so. I thought it'd be this year, but obviously we've signed Baines for another year, which sort of delays the process. And the problem with Robinson is, and I think where the doubt comes in with Anthony Robinson is he is good going forward. He's athletic, gets up and down the touchline quite well. He's decent cross for the ball. It's defending, it's his positional sense. A lot of people, I think, probably watched the US against Brazil that time.
I knew that's where you're going. I was going to say the same thing.
It seems to be the thing that's brought up most, unfortunately, for him. And Douglas Costa, but Douglas Costa's a really good player.
Exactly.
He's only 20. It's tough, and so. But I think that the time's going to come again with Anthony Robinson. That's maybe why the club's entertaining an offer, because we've got Baines for another year. Do they see Anthony Robinson as someone who's going to be good enough for your backup? I suppose that's the question they're asking themselves. I would have liked him to be back up this year, but it's one of those things. Yeah, I think it'll either be a move or a move or another loan. And I'd guess if it's $2 million, they might take the $2 million. Sadly.
Yeah, I was under the impression that had he had a really stellar year last season, it was going to happen. But he dealt with some injuries. He was an ankle injury that he was dealing with.
He missed, I think, like a couple of months between. I think it was January and March, and Benny Benigni was there as well. Benigni was there, but he missed a couple of games. It was probably a crucial period, really, because that sort of development in the Championship's really key. And he's been there for 2 years in the Championship. He's been pretty good playing for Wigan. Wigan don't play a similar style to Everton. They get a lot of balls forward early. They obviously had Reece James, who's the Chelsea right back, on the other flank, so he sort of got more of the plaudits than Robinson. But Robinson did well, as far as I'm aware. Well, from what I've seen, he did quite well. Just defender needs to come up a bit of a level.
Gotcha. All right, so I guess we'll see whether or not he gets shipped out.
We'll see, yeah.
Or if he's on loan again.
We'll have to look for the left back then, because we haven't really got anyone else young who's a left back. Well, Connor Osniadis, but I don't think he's going to be Premiership standard, really.
Yeah, I was actually he's in the plans for later on in this conversation, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's stay on Wigan. You mentioned Benny Beningame. He's a player who was getting some time with the first team for a little while. I actually was excited about him as a player.
He made that tackle at Chelsea. He absolutely thundered into that tackle. Everyone thought, wow, again, Beningame's got flaws. Well, not flaws. He's got things that he needs to work on, especially on the ball. He went to Wigan, played a game, got injured, and then he never really, once he was fit, never really found his way back in. And whatever happened there, that wasn't a good loan. Unfortunately, that just wasn't a good. And that's something Everton need to look at, is sort of focusing on who is in the team above them when they go to these teams. Who's the manager? What style of play do they play? And that's something they really need to focus on. And unfortunately for Benny, it didn't work out. And I think he'll go on loan again this year. I'm not too sure if anyone's going to be interested in taking him permanently, but I think he'll go on loan, and then a final decision may be made next year.
Gotcha. I mean, that's frankly, that's where I see him. You gotta give the kid a chance and play him somewhere where he's going to fit in and where he's wanted.
Yes, gotcha. So
yeah, all right. So let's move on to another player who had a pretty good season last year on loan, Joe Williams.
Yeah, good player. And to be honest with you, I think Joe really improved the stock. And he had a couple of injuries in the last couple of years, which have sort of held him back, especially last pre-season. I think he would have got a real good look off Silva. I think he's the type of player Silva likes, breaks up play, pushes the ball forward. He'd be someone who'd be useful for the squad. And I think this pre-season, Joe will be given a chance. Whether or not he can take the chance and get himself into the rotation behind, Gay, Davis, Gomez, maybe new centre midfielder of Schneiderlin, that's the question. He had a good loan period at Bolton last year, and despite the fact of all the problems were going on at Bolton, he sort of excelled. And, he puts up really good numbers in terms of advanced stats and Championship as well. And he is a good player. I think they're going to make a decision on him this summer. I think if they're going to look at him in pre-season, and I think at his age, he's 22, nearly 23, I think now. it's probably time to say to him, if he's not on Everton's long-term plans, maybe it's time to let him go. Despite him being a good player, you can always revisit him in a couple of years' time if you get put a buyback clause in it or whatever. But I wouldn't like to. This is what Everton need to look at. I wouldn't like to hold on to players for the sake of holding on to them. We sort of need to let them go. There's no point in just trying to keep them in case we can get a fee down the line, because teams will know what we're trying to do, and it's probably going to lower the price. I think brands will have a plan for that, but yeah. I think it's sort of a decision will be made on on Joe quite soon.
All right. How about Callum Connolly?
Again, same. I think the problem with Callum is I think he may be the one that comes in and is the sort of utility fullback. I know he can play in defensive midfield as well. It was since Robinson could be possibly leaving, but again, I think Connolly could maybe either he's sold or loaned out again. I'm not too sure. It depends on the market, but I think he's another player who's a decision we made this summer, or his long-term viability is for Everton. And at the end of the day, it's not that he's a bad player. It's very hard to be good enough to be the top 6, top 8 of the Premier League type of player. And Everton really needs to be ruthless in that sense. Is that you need to have, as I discussed on previous videos, you need to have a planned pathway for them. So you look at someone like Anthony Gordon, for example. You see he'll be under 23s this year. Then you send them out on loan, and then you look to put him in the first team. I don't think Callum Connolly's on that path. I think he's more on the path of he's probably not going to be good enough for Everton. We should probably sort of look at letting him go, really.
All right. So there's so many names left, and we've already been recording for like 15 minutes. So I'm gonna kind of zip through some of the more important names.
Yeah. Great.
So let's discuss Morgan Feeney as a player. That's a player that I think some people have talked about possibly breaking in. What do you think?
I don't think he's ready, and I feel sorry for Morgan. I think the thing for Morgan is obviously the fans love the fact he's a season ticket holder, so they have that sort of rapport with him. But I think Morgan needs to go out and play against proven, experienced strikers. He's been at the 23 level for 3 years. He's playing against basically the same people year in and out. Maybe a couple of good young players when they come through, but he needs to be tested, and I don't think as I think David Unsworth has said, and I think Marco Silva, Marcel Brands have said, the gap between that under-23 league and the Premier League is so big that he needs to have that season where he plays in between and see how he does when he gets that, and then obviously see if he's ready next year. I'd say definitely a loan. I've got that. I've written down here for Feeney. I think somewhere goes plays a good level of football for his development.
Gotcha. I think that makes a lot of sense. Josh Bowler.
Same again. I think Josh is probably the player closest to probably touching the first team because we need that left-footed presence on the right wing. But again, I think we'll sign someone. He needs to go to the Championship, and I'd say a top half team who plays good football, so we obviously can get used to the style, a style similar to Marco Silva's, or go to maybe Holland where it's quite technical and somewhere like that. I wouldn't say he's ready for Germany. I don't think he get enough game time in Germany, but somewhere where he again will develop, play first team football, play against experienced pros. That'd be good for Josh this year, with the view of him coming back next year and pushing in pre-season for a first team spot.
What about a player who might be signing a new contract with us, Bas Sambu?
I wouldn't have offered him a new deal. I just don't see him ever playing for Everton. I think it's a waste of time from the club. I understand. I think they want to get a fee for him, but it's time to cut him loose. I know people have seen me on Twitter. I was quite angry at the fact that he played over Fraser Hornby and other players towards the end of last season, because I know Unsworth was trying to win the title, but we need to develop players. We don't need to win titles. It's more about development, and he's 22 nearly. I think it's time we let go of Sambu. He's been good for the under 23. He's won 2 titles, but it's time to let him go.
That's also a really good conversation for one day. The idea of talking about the stylistic play of the U23 teams. Are you thinking, do you need to bring in someone who's a little more similar to Silva in style?
I think that's the idea. I think Marcel Brands is saying that basically it's a development league. We'll be playing development style. And don't expect us to be trying to win things.
That's good. Other players, I think Anthony Evans is a player who's
he went to Liverpool again. It wasn't a great loan for him. He did okay, but I'd say Anthony probably needs to go. It's probably a decision to sell or loan again. I don't see Anthony ever making the Everton first team. He's another one who probably, for himself, it's not just from the club perspective, it's from the player perspective. He would be better going out maybe and getting himself a League One, League Two team, and then build himself up from there rather than just holding on to him forever.
What about Fraser Hornby, who you mentioned earlier?
He needs a loan at, I'd say, Scotland or maybe a League One. He needs to play against experienced defenders who'll make him think, contest him. It's when at 19, you need to think about, a player needs to, he's got a unique skill set because he was a defensive midfielder who was converted to a striker, and he needs to go up against defenders who are like, know every trick in the book, and he needs to get used to playing against that if he's ever going to play for Everton. It's 50-50 with Hornby whether he'll ever be good enough to play for the first team, but give him the best chance to succeed. He's 19. Let's get him out getting some development time.
So the rest of these names, let's go a little bit more rapid fire, although I know we could talk about these because there are recognizable players that I've seen play that are quality in the rest of this list, but we're just running out of time. Yeah. So I'll say a name if you could tell me whether we let them go, set them free. Yes. U23 squad, first team or loan. That's basically our possibilities. Okay. Yeah, so Brendan Galloway.
Let him go.
I didn't even really need to ask you that, but his name's on my list.
I like Brendan, but unfortunately, it's time to go. Yeah,
saw that coming. Matty Folds.
I think he's signing a new deal. He's probably staying in the 23s. I think he'll probably stay in the 23s. Right, yeah.
Dennis Adnaran.
He needs a loan. It's time for Dennis to go on loan. He's a talented player. He needs a loan. Right.
Yeah. Nathan Broadhead.
He should have been on loan 2 years ago. He's 23 now. He's 22 now, 23. I think it's come to the time when Nathan maybe need to leave. So it's either loan or leave, really, for
He's
Nathan.
Older than I realized. Wow.
Yeah.
Young player with a lot of potential, Lewis Gibson.
Hopefully he signs a new deal, and I would like to see him. I know he's only 18, but he needs to go out on loan and start learning now. I think he's one of the high potential players that we have, and he needs to be put on that pathway towards the first team.
That's the way I viewed him as well. Every time I've seen him play, he just looks really poised for a young guy.
Fantastic.
Nathangelo Markelo.
I'd let him go. I don't see Markelo ever being a Premiership footballer, really. I think maybe, I suppose under 23s if he's not going to get a loan, but yeah, he probably should be. He shouldn't be. He's stopping people getting game time at the under 23 level. Send him out on loan, or let him go.
You've already mentioned Anthony Gordon. What you think needs to be done with him?
Yeah, so I'd say 6 months in the under 23s, get him starting every game, and then if in January you think he's ready for a loan move, send him out on loan and get him some experience for next season. Yeah.
Is it Colin Ozunidis?
Yeah, I think it'll be the under 23s. Again, he needs to make some improvements if he's ever going to be ready for the first team. But yeah, under 23s this season.
Alex Denny?
Under 23s should have been playing more last season instead of Markelo. I feel sorry for Alex Denny, but yeah, hopefully he gets some more game time this season.
And the last name I've got here, let me know if I missed anybody, Manas Mampala.
Under 23s probably for Manas. João Virginia, I know he's probably going to go on loan, hopefully.
See, I never associate him with. I always associate him because with the first team.
Yeah, he needs to go on a good loan. We mentioned Bowler and Denair, and Ellis Sims, similar, and Ryan Astley to Gordon. 6 months in the under 23s, let them get some experience, then send them out on loan. Yeah,
those are some
that's of the. That's it. Really, a lot of the players who are 18, 19, 20 need to go out on loan. Make sure they're getting ready for first team. Older than that, it's either let them go or give them a year somewhere where they can get themselves a move, maybe.
All right. I got to watch João Virginia some in the U20 World Cup. I was under the impression that he had the potential to be on the first team this season in terms of being a backup. It looks like we're going to give that one more year.
I think he would have been if we hadn't signed Lossell, but it's probably best that you have someone more experienced. And if he can go out and play, first team football somewhere. I think Rui, the assistant manager who's just left, has just gone to a promoted Portuguese side. Maybe there, we can look at playing against Porto and people like that this season. Be good for João.
Yeah, I mean he was always one of the standout players when I watched U23s.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Any other notes on U23 players or any of our young guys?
No, I think that the under 18s. I think Dobbin will be stepping up into the under 18s this season. He's a very good player. He's one to watch out for. But what's his name? Adiodi is a good player. He'll be stepping under 23. So they're people to keep an eye out for. But yeah, the main ones need loans. We need to start getting these players out on good loans rather than keeping them playing for the under 20. I think Unsworth's under the right orders now.
I want to reiterate, I want to state my support of when you said. Not a good idea to run Ellis Sims with the first team, despite his high numbers. I just want to say, I agree.
Yes, there's no tap on it under 18s. Many players have gone up to under 23s and not scored at that level, so you need to see him at that level before we make a decision like that. Yeah, definitely.
All right, the man speaks sense. Anything else? You feeling good about? Pretty thorough.
Yeah, it's been great. I think we've covered everything. I'm not too sure what will happen with David Unsworth, whether he'll get a manager's job or he'll stay on as under-23s head coach. We'll see what happens. I think there's going to be a lot of changes in the academy over the next year or so with like new coaches and new sort of planning.
I'm really curious as to how Brands wants to approach all that. Brands and Silva.
It's something he really did well at PSV, so I expect him to do the same here. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for our U23 Young Players segment. To loan or not to loan. I had no witty title. We didn't have a writing session with like.
That sounds good. Sounds good to me. It's loan or not loan sounds good to me. Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's it though. If you've been digging our videos, please subscribe to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. If you want more Andy El Pivote, check him out on Twitter. All right. That's the first place to find him. That's the easiest place to find him. Because he's everywhere. People are retweeting him and getting into long analytical conversations with him.
No problem. If anyone has any questions, they can DM me as well. They're always open to people to ask questions.
The access you have to El Pivote is just, yeah. He's written analytical pieces for various websites, but he's got his own blog. It's El Pivote, ftbl.wordpress.com. The FTBL, I don't know what that could stand for. Check that out, though. He's got a lot of his stuff on there. And it's frankly just prepare for the knowledge. That's what I'll say. Andy, I really want to tell you thank you very much for taking your time out to talk to this American guy. Like I told you before, I was geeking out at the prospect, and I don't know, man. I'll reap that knowledge. Take it with me. So that's it for this time. No more video segments. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a daily segment coming up later on with more news as of late. So check that out, and we'll see you next time. Andy, take care, man.
No worries.
All right, bye-bye.